Hello, everyone. Alongside Ryan Sir, I'm Don Helbig, and welcome to the Pick Six, the podcast by the Attractions Group, where we bring you the latest top stories from around the amusement and theme park industry.
Yeah, and before we delve into this week's Pick Six, let me remind you that you can find us on all your favorite podcast apps, Apple, Google, Spotify, you know the drill. Make sure you follow us on X at attractions_GRP and watch us on YouTube by searching for the Attractions Group Podcast. Don, take story numero uno for us.
Kings Dominion is gearing up for its biggest project in over a decade with a new roller coaster set to debut next year at the site of the former volcano, the Blast Coaster. While the park has yet to make any public announcements, it has filed permits for the new ride. Emails between the park's planners and government officials reveal that Kings Dominion is moving swiftly to secure approval and commence construction. A park spokesperson hinted at a very exciting update that's going to be coming later this summer and encourages fans of the park to stay tuned to social media and the park's newsletter for further information.
Yeah, so the rumor is a launched wing coaster, which if it's anything like Thunderbird, they might have a winner on their hands.
Yeah, well, that's what the the rumor is, and there's been a lot of photos that have been floated around social media, different fan sites showing Coaster Track, on scene at the park. So we know what's happening. And I like the way that, Kings Dominion is just kind of rolling with it and, letting the coaster enthusiasts and all, the other people that have interest in this, that, kind of roll with it. And they're having fun with, all the speculation that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, trying to hide something like this would be a futile effort for the week. But story number two. So Six Flags is gearing up for a Halloween showdown against Universal Studios' famed Horror Nights, bringing its own arsenal of haunted houses to the table. Six Flags Magic Mountain's Fright Fest Extreme 2024, featuring attractions based on Stranger Things and Saw, will run from September 7th to November 3rd on select Thursday through Sunday nights. Universal Hollywood's Halloween Horror Nights 2024 will compete with 8 new haunted mazes, including themes from Ghostbusters and A Quiet Place, among Scare Zones and the Terror Tram, running from September 5th to November 3rd. The Fright Fest lineup at Six Flags also includes mazes based on The Conjuring, Trick or Treat, and Army of the Dead, mirroring Universal's previous success with similar themes. Six Flags has teamed up with major Hollywood studios like Netflix, Warner Brothers, Lionsgate, and Legendary, making a shift from their previous exclusive partnerships with Universal. A key highlight will be the Stranger Things maze, offering an immersive experience into the Upside Down and Hawkins High School students. How do you think this is going to fare? Because, Universal is so good at what they do with this stuff. And even if because SeaWorld, they got in on the haunt thing, but their thing is closer to Fright Fest than it is Horror Nights. I feel like in most places in the country, it'll be fine. But when they're directly competing, people will be able to make that comparison. Is this a smart move or not?
I like the direction they're going. I will say this, that from my experience, Fright Fest that Six Flags does is very well done. And I like that they're not just satisfied with what they've done, which is a good product. And they're trying to take it here to the next level. So, yeah, I like what they're doing.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Adventureland's Tornado roller coaster will be honored as a landmark coaster by the American Coaster Enthusiast. The organization will present the Altoona Park with a landmark plaque on August 17th during the ACE National Preservation Conference. The plaque will be located near Tornado's entrance. Since the program's inception in 2000 by ACE, fewer than 50 coasters have received the landmark designation, reserved for those that have significantly impacted the theme park industry and created lasting memories for generations of riders. Designed by the renowned William Cobb, Tornado opened on July 1st, 1978, with an official grand opening a week later, featuring then Iowa Governor Robert D. Ray in the front seat. Tornado was Adventureland's first major coaster, and it quickly elevated the small Iowa park status. The coaster gained immediate popularity among Iowans and coaster enthusiasts worldwide, and soon it was recognized as one of the top 10 wooden coasters soon after its opening. So I think this is a great honor for that park and that coaster.
I think so too. So with the ACE landmark designation, I guess that's not like the historical landmark or anything like that. It's ACE's committee is deciding this, and then they sponsor a plaque that usually goes out front, right?
Right, right. And there's several coasters that I've ridden this year that have that designation. And it's a really great thing that ACE does, and it's part of that preservation conference is going to be at this park, so they're tying it in with that. And when you're a park and one of your coasters gets designated by ACE, I mean it's a big deal.
Yeah, a lot of opportunity there. Very cool. All right, next up, who likes to go on a cruise? I like to
You
go
and
on
I
a
both know
cruise.
someone that does, don't we, Ryan?
Right. I mean, everybody knows somebody that likes to go on a cruise once in a while. But Disney and the Oriental Land Company have announced plans to offer Disney cruise vacations in Japan year round. The new Disney ship, tailored specifically for Japanese guests, will feature approximately 1,250 staterooms. This initiative is part of a 10-year, $60 billion expansion in Disney's theme parks and cruise business. The first voyage is scheduled for early 2029. So if it's scheduled for 2029, that implies to me that they're going to build the ship. They're not going to buy it.
Right.
It
Right.
takes years to build these things, but yeah, very cool. I've never been on a cruise before. Have you?
I have not been on a cruise. My daughter went on a Disney cruise last year after she got married for their honeymoon. She absolutely loved it. She came back and she said her and her husband were now cruise people and highly recommended that my wife and I take a cruise. So it's something that it's on the bucket list. I want to do. And what's amazing to me is how many guests these cruise ships can accommodate.
Thousands. I mean, that like 5, 6, 7,000, I think, and maybe more. I don't know. I've never been on a cruise.
Yeah, that was the impressive part. But she said, my daughter, that while there was a lot of people there, it wasn't overwhelming. Nothing was ever like too packed or anything. Any part of the ship, and you had food 24 hours around the clock. Whenever you wanted something, you went and got it. She loved it. It looks, when you look at this picture you have up here, if you're watching on YouTube, I mean, it looks like when you do one of these cruises, it's just a nice, relaxing environment out there, on the water, and just enjoy your time.
So I Googled Disney cruise ship and got this photo. So I don't want to mislead anybody to think that this is what the ship's going to look like. I don't know what the ship is, but this is one of the Disney cruise ships. As you can see with the Mickey in the very front for those of you who are watching on YouTube. All right. Moving right along. We're going to Texas. So
there are 2 new rides at Six Flags Over Texas that open July 4th, both with a cartoon theme. We've got Daffy Duck Bucket Blasters and Sylvester and Tweety Pounce and Bounce. Now, Daffy Duck Bucket Blasters, it's a family water ride featuring teacup-style circular buckets, which spin around in both directions. They're mounted with water blasters, which means the entire family can engage in a fun water battle. So this looks like a really fun ride for families. And then they've got Sylvester and Tweety Pounce and Bounce, and it's a drop tower that features a sequence of drops and rises, which come from a 41-foot tower. Now, there's a couple other Six Flags parks that have a ride similar to this, but this one's just a little bit taller.
Yeah, very cool. It's I love these the spinning barrels and stuff with the basis of water. It reminds me of the old rides from like the 60s and early 70s and so on. So very cool. Last one. So dates have been announced for the return of holidays at Universal Orlando Resort and its festivities, including Universal's Holiday Parade featuring Macy's. Holiday season offerings at Universal Orlando will begin on November 22nd and run through December 31st. Universal's Holiday Parade featuring Macy's returns to Universal Studios Florida once again this year, with characters and floats from the popular Universal and DreamWorks films like Despicable Me, Madagascar, and Shrek. I saw this last year. It was so good. It was awesome. And they had snow. They had snow that came down and confetti coming down like the Beverly Hills section of Universal Studios, and it was so thick that it was like you're in a blizzard. It was just so cool. So I'd highly recommend
it. Was
it.
pre-COVID the last time I saw a holiday event, at Universal. But you're right. I mean, it was so well done, back then, and just what I've seen, pictures and video. It's definitely something that if you have the opportunity to experience it, you should.
Yeah, very cool. All right, that rounds it up. Let's move on to the listener questions. So, first listener question is from Brian C. from Boston, New York. He said, "Don, saw you were recently at Six Flags Great Escape. Interested to hear your thoughts on the Comet and what you rank it amongst your wooden coasters."
It's one of my favorite wooden coasters. I originally rode it when it was at Crystal Beach. It was known as the Crystal Beach Cyclone. That was a park that was in Ontario. And then after that park closed, it was purchased, relocated to Great Escape. And when I had a season pass there, when I lived in the Albany, New York area in 2006, 07, when that park kind of became my home park, my daughter and I mean, we loved it. I would ride it 15, 20 times each visit. It had been 17 years since I had been back to Great Escape, and rode it last week, and still the same fantastic ride. Could use maybe a little bit of paint. Maybe there's a couple spots where it could use a little bit of work, but overall, I mean, it's running great for its age. It was at one time considered one of the 4 or 5 best wooden coasters out there, and we're talking in the 60s and 70s and 80s, but it's still it holds up. For me, I would put it in my top 15 if I was ranking wooden roller coasters.
Yeah, very cool. All right, next one, Lisa S. from Florence, Kentucky. "My family is planning a trip to Holiday World next week. What do you recommend for our meals?"
Ryan, what are your favorites there?
I would say Plymouth Rock Cafe, PRC, baby. It's a whole Thanksgiving meal that you can get in the middle of a theme park. It's a little carb heavy for like a hot summer day, but it's as good as Thanksgiving as you have it at home.
That location has one of my favorite menu items at Holiday World, and that is what they call the turkey bowl. So it's got the corn, it's got mashed potatoes, it's got the turkey, the gravy. I mean, it just very filling. But yeah, you're right. It kind of you're having that Thanksgiving type of meal there at Holiday World. I also like up near Thunderbird. There's a stand there that has what they call the honey chicken mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
This is amazing. You'd love that. And then if you're out, in the water park, which is included with the park admission, Sam's Barbecue has the smoked pork and smoked brisket. Both of those are, standout menu items. So, there's a lot of great food choices at Holiday World, but those are some of my favorites.
Yeah, great question. All right. So that wraps up another Pick Six. And make sure you follow us on all your favorite podcast apps, Apple, Google, Spotify. Slam that YouTube subscribe button and follow us on X at attractions_GRP. We'll see you next week, everybody.